Hi guys, welcome to today's kind of random video. I saw the lovely Benjamin at Centre Fragrance do a video about his 10 crushes and the fragrances he'd pick for each of his crushes. It's kind of sweet to see that side of Benjamin, to see a bit kind of lady he'd go for, the kind of fragrance he'd, match to that lady. Please don't mind me and my little drinky poo here. And if I was really meeting my 10 crushes, I'd definitely need a bit of Dutch courage. Anyway, it's purely just for a backdrop, that's all it's for. Right, let's kick things off with the first crush. So the first crush has really stood the test of time. Ever since I first saw him in a movie I love called Edward Scissorhands. It is, of course, the fantastic Johnny Depp. What an amazing actor, and what a really beautiful person he is in real life, actually. If you see him in any interviews, he's just this shy, endearing, deep, kind of nervous person, actually, but he has got a heart of gold. And he's just the most versatile actor. He's so talented. Everything I've seen him in, he plays something completely different. It's kind of a hard person to pick a fragrance for when every single thing you've seen him in, they play a completely different role. I've chosen a fragrance for Johnny, not for any of his characters, just for Johnny. And if Johnny came up to me and was chatting away, I think I'd like him to smell of Black Phantom. This is the one I see him wearing. I think it would suit him. I think loads would suit him, really. Not Sauvage. I just want to put that out there. He would not be wearing Sauvage. He's just too non-mainstream for Sauvage. He'd be edgy. He's sweet. This is Black Phantom, sorry, by Kilian. So this is the very sweet, very sort of coffee and rum, boozy. Got to have a bit of booze in there for Johnny. Just beautiful, sort of, caramelish kind of fragrance. It's quite a resinous sort of smell. It's just so sexy and gorgeous. And his character is kind of, you're going to see him generally with a drink in his hand, whether it be rum or whiskey. There's actually rum in here. I just think it would smell beautiful on Johnny Depp. He's got such a sweet side to him that I think this would really play in that favour. And it's got quite an edgy metallic nuance in here, which I think works for him. He's a very edgy person. Although it's sweet, it has got a bit of a dark side. I mean, the packaging alone, to me, is screaming Johnny Depp. Of course, obviously, he was the pirate in Pirates of the Caribbean. And I think the concept behind this particular fragrance and this whole, the packaging and everything was based around pirates. Pirates having a massive drink up and how everything would smell boozy and sweet and a bit deep and a bit dark and quite, a bit sticky because they're not like the cleanest, most sanitary people in the world, pirates. So it'd be that, as if they'd had a big old piss up and there's booze and rum thrown about the place, but the smell of the aftermath of a great pirate party. So that whole thing just to me encompasses Johnny Depp. That's my number one, Johnny Depp. Black Phantom. Crush number two is a fictional character from a film. The actor that plays him is still gorgeous, but it was the part he played that to me was just iconic. I still love that character. I still love the film. It's one of my favourite films of all time. I'm talking about Lord of the Rings. I'm talking about an elf, a specific elf called Legolas, played by the lovely Orlando Bloom. The character's beautiful, so well portrayed by Orlando Bloom, with this kind of delicate approach, this non-emotional approach, because obviously elves have a very non-emotional approach to everything, but they have this deep soul, deep spirit. I mean, I'm quite partial to a blonde-haired, blue-eyed fella. What would he smell like? What would he, in his beautiful ethereal state? I would hope and imagine that Legolas would smell of Confessions of a Garden Gnome by Manle, one of my favourite fragrances in my entire collection. This is just, I talked about it being transportive. This takes me to the most beautiful green woodland or garden, and exactly where you'd expect to find someone like Legolas, residing. And it's just that, it is a magical green woodland with some florals, lily of the valley, which is a very ethereal flower. You've got a bit of ouzo, which is like I think it's like mango, isn't it? Give it some sweetness, ambergris, a really sexy edge. And this to me is a Legolas fragrance. In some strange cosmic world, I actually would bump into Legolas, the character, and he smelled like this. I would just die. So a magical scent for a very magical person. Number three crush is so adorable, and I've still got a crush on him, actually. James McAvoy, not one you hear about very often. The moment I fell in love with him was when I watched The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. He played Mr. Tumnus, who was a faun. Oh my god, he was so cute in that film. He's adorable, he's sweet, he's funny, he seems like the nicest guy ever. He's just got this charming side with a twinkle in his eye. He's a lovely proper Scottish guy as well, with the most gorgeous, sexy accent. So I figured, you know, what would he wear? I was thinking of boozy, whiskey kind of fragrances, because being that he's a Scot, they love having a dram, you know. I haven't actually got any fragrances with whiskey. I picked one that my husband wears that I absolutely love. I bought him for Christmas, and I think this would really suit James McAvoy. I can imagine him smelling like this. This is Hugo Boss the scent. This is the Absolute. Absolutely love this fragrance. I don't know what is actually in this one other than a strange fruit called Manica. Is it called a Manica fruit? But how does it smell to me? It smells like warm, resinous, sweet, kind of boozy, if I'm honest. Definitely a fruity, lovely fruity note. It just smells warm and addictive. Beautiful for the winter. A charming, slightly sexy, slightly boozy, and wrap up with the one you love kind of scent. It kind of smells Christmassy to me. It smells a little bit like Kisses Rain from Renier, but not. It's just got that, it's going in that direction. But because it's so warm and charming and sweet and cuddly, this is what I can imagine James McAvoy wearing. Yeah, just a sweet, endearing, cuddly fragrance for a very sweet, very endearing and extremely cuddly James McAvoy. So crush number 4, and this is a little bit unusual. So this is a crush I used to have. I still think he's amazing when I watch the film back. So Gary Oldman starred in a very iconic film called Bram Stoker's Dracula. It was a very dark film. Even watching it today, it's got a lot of scenes where you just think, wow, how did they get away with that? It's just kind of dark, you know. His portrayal of Count Dracula was just unbelievable. It was the best Dracula I've ever seen. I mean, he was Count Dracula. But his character as the prince, I think, is so beautiful in that film. It's the iconic scene when he first meets Elizabeth, when he's in a city. I think he's in England, I guess. And he's standing there with these blue, smoky, you know, these sort of like rock and roll glasses on with long hair and his sort of very Victorian outfit. And through that scene, he just is beautiful. That's another way of putting it, really. I absolutely fell in love with him in that scene, and you pity him through the film. Once you realise his story, you pity him, you fall in love with him. Despite him being a monster as Count Dracula, I was kind of rooting for him to win because he's just this sad, heartbroken person. But Gary Oldman in that part is unbelievable, and I did absolutely have a massive crush on him for such a long time. And so a scent that to me would be perfect for Gary Oldman as Count Dracula would be Tom Ford's Noir de Noir. This is just a gothic, beautiful rose. It has truffle. It has this red wine nuance. It's got quite a pronounced note of patchouli. It's the only fragrance I will wear and can love that has such a strong note of patchouli in it, because it is done, it kind of works in this fragrance. It's musky. It's, like I say, it's dark and gothic, and you've got that rose in there. It's keeping it slightly romantic. And it is just the perfect scent for him in that film. Count Dracula smells of Noir de Noir, and that's not a bad thing. So I've always had a bit of a crush on Antonio Banderas. I mean, who wouldn't? Oh, come on. But he is just the most charming, charismatic, gorgeous Spaniard. He really is. I loved him in The Mask of Zorro. I loved him in a film called Original Sin with Angelina Jolie. Super gorgeous in that film as well. That accent is just the icing on the cake. He made Spanish sexy. A fragrance that I think would suit him. It's not one that I actually have. I've got a sample of it. It is by Creed, and it is Bois de Portugal. Of course, Portugal is near Spain, so there's that. I think this used to be worn by... Am I wrong in thinking that it was worn by Frank Sinatra? It was one of his scents. It's a well-loved classic, and clearly it's worn by a celebrity, so maybe he does wear it. I don't know. I don't even know the notes in this. I'm really sorry. I've never looked them up. I just know I love this fragrance. The ultimate sexy summer scent for a man. It's a super classy, mature, classic, bright. It's citrusy. I think it might be a neroli heavy fragrance. I do love neroli. You can imagine meeting up with Antonio Banderas, sexy signore, you know, for lunch, having a siesta. under an orange blossom tree and just having a glass of sangria, or I don't know, I'm trying to paint a nice Spanish romantic scene for you. But this is the image, this is the scent I'd like him to smell of, put it that way. I think this is perfect for him. So it's classic, it's charming, it's sexy, it's Spanishy, Portuguesey. Yeah, so that is by Creed, that's Bois, Portugal. So next up we've got actually an old crush of mine. I don't fancy him anymore, but I still think he's rather cute. But he was a major crush at the time. So I watched Fast and the Furious #1, and I had a total crush on Vin Diesel. At that time I was very into, really muscular, not shaven head, but that kind of look, that kind of macho, kind of very alpha male. More than anything, it was his voice. He's got the most rough and gravelly. He's the voice of Groot. His voice is beautifully gravelly. It's like concrete. It's just, but smooth at the same time. He also came off as this rather sweet and charming guy. I do like a gentle giant. Just really loved his character in Fast and the Furious. And of course, reference being that it is Fast and the Furious and it was all about fast cars. The fragrance I picked for him is a leather-based fragrance. These kind of souped-up speed cars with their real proper leather seats. We've gone for a really beautiful leather fragrance that's a bit on the rough side. So we're talking Tom Ford, Tuscan leather. I've only got a sample of Tuscan leather. It is a lovely leather scent. Again, I don't know what the notes are, but I would honestly throw a bit of diesel in there, or a bit of car fumes, because it's got this really edgy, smoky sort of smell that would put me in mind of being in a car, a fast car as well. Perfect scent for Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious. So that's it. What more can I say? It's smooth, it's sexy, rough and ready, alpha male, Tuscan leather, Tom Ford, Vin Diesel. So number 9, I think we're on. I have a crush on an actor who I think is stunning in every film he's in, and stunning as a person in real life. He's such a convincing actor. He's so professional and talented. We're talking Benedict Cumberbatch. I always say Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch. An unusual looking guy. I love how he looks. I think he's got the most beautiful face. Beautiful features. He's kind of elven, I think. He'd play a great elf, I think, because of him and how amazing he is. A versatile, professional guy. And the fragrance that I picked for him is smooth. Again, it's got that beautifully professional edge to it. It's got a bit of sweetness. It's charming. I'm just going to get straight into it. It's Tom Ford. It's fucking fabulous. And I really can imagine him wearing this scent. It's so smooth and so charming, effortless and uncomplicated. It's very unisex. I mean, this is my fragrance. I wear this. So, and he's such a versatile actor. And this is a very versatile fragrance. It's not specific for any month or season or anything. It's just whatever you want it to be. There's tonka, you've got leather, you've got creamy, beautiful sage. This scent actually makes me think of white chocolate, creamy white chocolate, with a hint of sage in it. It's very strange. And like Benedict Cumberbatch, there's a bit of a sort of twinkle in his eye and a sense of humour. And obviously with a name like that, you've got to have a bit of a sense of humour. So that is my chosen fragrance for Benedict Cumberbatch. Number 9, I'm going to talk about a person who I have got an amazing crush on, actually. I think he's rather fabulous. He is like the ultra alpha male, primitive, ultimate warrior. I'm just going to cut to the chase. It's Jason Momoa. He plays, of course, Khal Drogo, King of the Dothrakis. That's what I knew him as. But he, of course, has now branched out into other roles. He plays Aquaman. I've not watched Aquaman yet. I don't know why I haven't watched it yet. I just haven't got around to it. So the fragrance I picked for him is something that suits him as a muscle-bound man from Hawaii. So the fragrance suits him. But it's also a nod to some parts that he plays. So I've picked for him a fragrance I don't actually have, but I did have it. I can't show it to you. It is by Renier, and it is Habana 500. Habana 500 was actually quite a bold blind buy on my part. Nothing wrong with the scent, it just didn't work out for me. But I've since sold it to somebody who actually really, really wanted it and loved it, which is fantastic. But this scent to me is a very masculine, a very kind of gruff scent for someone who's a bit that way inclined. But it also has a lot of aquatic characteristics. So that's my nod to Aquaman. It's a very aquatic fragrance. I think I described it as quite an earthy. There was coffee in there. There could have been some rum in there, but overall you get this very earthy, primitive, sexy kind of fragrance, but with a nod to being, you know, by the sea. It was a strange one to describe, but this fragrance would really suit Jason Momoa. He's a very sweet-natured, simplistic, a very spiritual guy, and seems like a real gentle kind of giant, that type again. There was definitely some sweet elements in Havana 500, which I think again would suit his personality as well. I mean, the guy's like nearly 7 foot, I think, and he's just muscle-bound fabulousness. So, Jason Momoa, a definite crush of mine. My final crush, dreamy, ever so dreamy, Kit Harington plays Jon Snow in the fantastic Game of Thrones. Oh, I just love him. This is the brooding, grumpy, but rather delightful character. He was a really hard one for me to find a fragrance for. I am choosing Oud Wood by Tom Ford. This is one of my favourite Tom Fords for a man, and I know that Tom Fords are unisex. I'd like to smell this on a man. And I think this would be beautiful for someone like Jon Snow. There's kind of an unfussed simplicity to this. It's not trying to be more than it is. It's not trying to be too alpha or too sweet or too much of anything. It's just a really pleasant, woodsy, incensey oud fragrance. And I think the woodsy element here is where I think of Jon Snow. He's always out surviving through woodlands and just out there. The kind of incensey vibe I'm getting from this makes me think of something slightly primitive, something, you know, from medieval times perhaps. Game of Thrones is slightly medieval. There's kind of like this cool, calm, collected class, and it holds its ground and has integrity to what it actually is, which is a simplistic oud wood fragrance. There's a kind of slightly gruff edge to this. I guess it's the oud, which you kind of need. I mean, he is a very gruff, outdoorsy guy, but again, it's tame. It's a tame gruffness. So without trying to be too much more than it is, it ends up being the most sort of solid, reliable, and favoured choice. So yeah, a really beautiful choice for a very beautiful Jon Snow, for the very beautiful Kit Harington. Kit Harington, if you're watching, you're welcome. My ability to count is diminishing with every drop of whiskey. We are now on number 10. What the hell? My 10th and final crush is Mr. Robert Pattinson. Yep. A very fine, smashing gentleman of an Englishman. He's not even that old. I just think of him as this old soul. He always seems to have this, I don't know, this gentle, dreamy, reflective side. Of course, everyone knows him as Edward Cullen from Twilight. They cast him based on the fact that he was very, what's the word, brooding. It's that word again, that brooding, quiet, sultry, reflective kind of character. And he looks just beautiful in that film. He's such a handsome guy. And you can tell he's a very deep, sort of sensitive, you know, one with self-preservation. So I want to pick a fragrance that would suit somebody classy, had strong sort of values, but also had a bit of an old soul about them. He'd suit a classic barbershop fougere scent. That's what I can imagine him wearing. I haven't got any fougères, so I'm going to just go along with one. I haven't even smelt it, so this is totally a cheat. One that's dropped onto my radar. I keep hearing other reviewers talk about it. I've got a feeling it's going to be just beautiful, and it's another Tom Ford. It is their new reformulation of the Beau de Jour, being a sort of sharp lavender with some really sharp citruses, and it just being clean and vibrant and quite strong. If it smells like I think it does, then it would suit Robert Pattinson. Do I sound pissed? I think I'm starting to sound a bit pissed. Yeah, so I'm going to give Robert Pattinson Tom Ford's Beau de Jour. So that is my number 10. That wraps up this video. I didn't even finish my drink. I hope you've enjoyed the video, hearing about all my celebrity crushes. And I would like to just tag every single person that fancies doing this video. I'd love to know who your celebrity crushes are. Has anyone got the same crushes as me? Please let me know. I hope you're all well and all taking care of yourselves, and I'll see you all again on my next one. Take care, bye.